So the WSL season starts in just over a week's time, live on Sky Sports, which means you'll be seeing a lot of the two people who join me right now. Rachel Corsie joining the team this season, and of course Izzy Christiansen. Nice to see you both. Rachel, we'll start with you. What are you most excited about going into the new season?
I actually have just said it's the fact that I don't need to do any more running and any of those horrible conditioning sessions. No, I think, do you know what? I think we've had the top 3-4 teams now for a little while, but I think there's a few more questions being asked by the pack below that. And I think there's been some good recruitment, some different recruitment from different teams. So I think now we're probably starting to get into the most competitive season that we've ever seen. And I think that's going to lead to some really good football and some great action, which is what we want.
Does that include London City Lionesses then?
Absolutely. I had an expectation that they would probably go fairly big this summer. I think when you have an owner who's as ambitious as Michelle Kang is, then you have to expect that they're going to want to get their way to the top. They've got themselves in the top flight. I don't think she's going to want to mess around. I think she wants to be the champion. So I think it'll be challenging for them. I think, you know, you have to have an element of sustainable growth, but I certainly think her ambitions are just that.
What have you made of the recruitment down in South East London? Because from the outset it looks impressive, but gelling all those players, and a lot of those players have been around for quite a while as well, that's not necessarily going to be easy, right?
Well, they're brought together by a common project by, like Rachel said, a very ambitious investor, businesswoman, and incredible eye for the game and women's sport in Michelle Kang. So obviously that brings people together naturally. There'll be a real buzz about, you know, the group of players throughout pre-season. But when you get into the nitty-gritty midway through a WSL season, you know, and you're playing on a cold, wet night, how are you going to fare? But I think they'll be fine. They'll be absolutely fine. I think they're not in this league. You know, they won promotion, deservedly so, last season from WSL 2. They're not just here to compete. They're here to win, and they want to compete, I'm sure, on all fronts as well. I think they've got some terrific players in their squad. I'm very fascinated to see, as pundits, how, I'm sure we'll be breaking them down this season on the Sky Sports touchscreen down at the studio, and in terms of how they play, because that'll be, you know, a question for us all. You know, how are they going to evolve their style of football as well, and how do they deem that to look competitive in a league with giants such as Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United, and you know, Brighton as well. I think they've been a team that have sort of subtly grown a lot in recent years, and I think they'll be a top outfit as well this season.
Start this off by saying congratulations, coach, the new coach of the Man City under-21s. But look, I want to know, there's a big coaching story coming out of WSL today with Leicester getting rid of Amandine Miguel and potentially bringing in Matt Beard so close to the start of the season as well. Has that surprised you?
Yeah, it's a huge shock, you know, across the WSL. It's not something we expected to read 11 days before the commencement of the season. You know, as a player, you know, you go through a rigorous pre-season with the new manager, you know, who starts to embed the ideas. And, you know, Amandine Mikel has, you know, she's had a tricky start at Leicester to her season, but I thought she really found her feet at the club. So it's disappointing to see, you know, a change of direction, you know, from the board, but it's obviously one that they deem necessary for the club in order to move forward, because I think it's going to be a tough season for Leicester City. I don't think they've been backed in terms of recruitment in the summer. Some of their top players have been linked with moves away, i.e. Ruby Mace, who's a superb footballer. So, yeah, it's going to be a tricky season for Leicester, and it's uneasy news to start the season with.
Rachel, we'll talk to you about potentially who's going to win this season, because, look, do you feel like we're not really talking that much about Chelsea? Considering what Arsenal did at the end of last season, considering they've gone out and broken the world transfer record, are we sleeping on Chelsea a bit?
Maybe, but that potentially is just out of optimism that we're going to get, you know, the opportunity of seeing a new champion. I think Chelsea have been incredible these last few years. I think there's been seasons where, you know, they've had to win different types of titles. There's been times they have ran away with it. I think last season, you know, the points gap in the end was incredible. Years before that, you know, they've come from behind. They've relied on other teams slipping up. I think we ultimately just want a competitive season, or I personally do as a pundit. You know, you want to see it go to the wire. You want to see us talking about both ends of the table right up to the very end of it. So that's what I hope for. I feel I probably do ask a few questions of Arsenal, because I think they also have been equipped. They've had a squad. They've spent a lot of money. They've brought in good players over the last few years, but they, for whatever reason, just haven't managed to get close to Chelsea and get that top spot. So I feel like this season they certainly will start it with the ambition that they certainly want to be up there.
They do want to be up there. So many teams want to be up there. These two are going to be bringing you all the analysis on the WSL all season. Remember, it kicks off on that Friday night at Stamford Bridge with Chelsea against Manchester City, and I know we can't wait.